Have you ever wondered what truly defines success for a top organization? Beyond just, the bottom line. Is it simply about profits? Or is there maybe a much richer, more nuanced story happening behind the scenes?
Usually is.
Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into the fascinating world of organizational performance analysis. Our mission, really, is to take a comprehensive study text on strategic business performance and sort of unpack the crucial techniques, models, and perspectives you need.
Right.
Basically, understand how the best organizations measure what truly matters. Think of it as your express lane to being, incredibly well-informed on this vital topic. So delving deeper, it often feels like the story of an organization kind of begins and ends with the numbers, doesn't it?
Yeah, it often seems that way, yeah.
Strategic analysis, whether you're looking externally at the market or internally at the company, it relies heavily on interpreting tables and financial statements.
Absolutely.
But it's not just about crunching numbers. It's about understanding what that data is really trying to explain, what story it's whispering to us.
Exactly. And taking an example might help. Imagine looking at cinema ticket sales in a large country over 2 years, say 20x7 and 20x8.
Okay.
You've got company A selling 2.0 billion tickets each year, flat.
Right, no change.
Company B grew a bit from 1.8 billion to 2.0 billion.
Okay.
Company C dipped slightly, 2.2 billion down to 2.1. Company D went the other way, 2.1 billion down to 1.9 billion.
Noticeable drop.
Yeah. And then others, the smaller players, they collectively increased a little, 1.6 billion to 1.7 billion. But here's the kicker.
Yeah.
The total industry sales for both years remained completely flat at 9.7 billion.
Wow. Okay, that's fascinating. The overall pie isn't growing at all. So looking at those numbers, what does that data truly tell us about the competitive nature of this cinema industry? Is it, a good place to be?
Well, what's really insightful here is that the market overall isn't expanding, right?
Right.
And at the same time, no single company holds a truly dominant position. That immediately suggests a highly competitive, maybe even saturated industry.
Okay.
Because there isn't new demand entering the market, for any company to grow, they're likely going to have to tempt customers away from their rivals.
It becomes a zero-sum game.
Exactly. Which inevitably escalates competitive activities, think aggressive promotions or new offerings.
Which hits margins.
Potentially impacting everyone's profit margins, yeah, and making the industry maybe less attractive overall.
Right.
It also signals that new entrants would face, significant difficulty in overcoming the well-established positions of those four main providers. It looks like a tough market to thrive in. Now, moving from those broader market tables to understanding a specific organization through its financial statements, there are some key principles for effective analysis.
Okay.
You want to pick just 3 or 4 key financial ratios that genuinely tell that organization's story.
Not just calculate everything.
No, absolutely not. For example, sales growth often links to external market dynamics, like those you'd uncover in a pestle analysis. Political, economic, social, technological, environmental, legal forces.
Right.
Or profit margins, which connect pretty well to Porter's 5 forces, that model that helps you understand competitive intensity. And then there's gearing, which essentially tells you how much of a company's operations are financed by debt versus its own equity. It reveals its risk profile, its ability to borrow more. And when you're doing this analysis, there's really no need to illustrate the complex formulas or calculations. Your focus is on the insight.
What it means.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Typically, you only need one comparator, like this year's results versus last year's, or maybe sometimes this year's against the company's first year, to gauge long-term trends. The real value comes from digging into the cause of any changes. Was it an external shift or an internal decision? And importantly, what do those changes mean for the business?
Like, does it need to react?
Does it need to react? Does it signal potential for future improvement? And a crucial point, don't include ratios that add nothing to the story.
Right.
If, for example, receivable days haven't changed and there's no debt collection problem, it doesn't really contribute to your understanding. Leave it out.
That's a really helpful distillation. For listeners who might be less familiar, maybe we can quickly list the main buckets these financial ratios fall into.
Good idea.
There's profitability, right?
Ah.
Things like return on capital employed, gross margin, net margin, return on equity.
The margin ones, yeah.
Then efficiency, like asset turnover, how quickly you collect cash. So receivables days, payables days, inventory days, maybe even revenue per employee.
Operational stuff.
Liquidity current ratio, quick ratio showing if they can pay their short-term bills.
Very important.
Gearing, as you mentioned, financial gearing, looking at debt levels.
For risk profile.
And Finally, investor ratios, things like dividend cover, interest cover, earnings per share, the PE ratio, stuff investors watch closely.
That covers the main groups, yes. And it's also common to use these ratios for interfirm comparisons, or IFCs.
Comparing companies.
Right, where you stack one entity against another, or maybe against the whole industry average.
Sounds useful.
Yeah. It sounds great in theory, but it comes with limitations. Different accounting methods can skew comparisons significantly.
Apples and oranges.
Exactly. Industry figures might be biased by a few very large firms dominating the average.
Right.
Or a simple average might be misleading for very small or very large companies within that industry.
Okay.
Plus, some companies span multiple industry classifications, making direct comparison tricky, and the industry figures themselves might just be out of date. So you have to approach IFCs with a critical eye.
You know, listening to this, it sounds like we're realizing that while the balance sheet and income statement are important, they're really just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Profit alone isn't the complete picture, is it? It's like trying to understand a person just by looking at their bank account.
Precisely. That's a great analogy. Performance analysis really shouldn't focus on profit in isolation.
So what else?
A truly comprehensive view requires a range of performance indicators, mixing both financial and non-financial measures. Think of it as checking all the vital signs a doctor would check beyond just, say, your weight. This broader perspective truly captures an organization's overall health and, maybe more importantly, its future potential. And we can often group these non-financial performance indicators, or NFPIs, against what we call critical success factors, or CSFs.
CSFs?
Yeah, those vital areas an organization absolutely must excel in to achieve its mission.
Okay, makes sense. Examples.
Sure. For competitiveness, you might look at sales growth by product, measures of your customer base, or relative market share and position.
I use Stack Up.
Exactly. For resource utilization, it's about efficiency measurements, tracking how much of what you have is actually being used, and general productivity. Let's zoom in on a few that often reveal some hidden truths. Take quality of working life.
Okay.
You could track metrics like days absent, labor turnover, or even job satisfaction measures.
High turnover. That's a warning sign.
It's not just a statistic. It's a flashing red light signaling deeper issues, maybe with culture or management, that will eventually impact your bottom line, even if they don't today.
Right.
Or customer satisfaction. This can be measured by speed of response to customer needs, or even through informal listening, like managers making weekly customer calls. It's about proactive engagement.
Getting feedback.
Innovation might track the proportion of new products or services to old ones, or the sales levels of new offerings.
Or we're moving forward.
Exactly. And responsiveness, or lead time. This includes things like order entry delays or high defect counts, which directly impact customer experience and efficiency. Now, while these NFPIs are incredibly valuable, they aren't without their challenges.
Oh, like what?
Well, setting up and operating such a system can be pretty time-consuming and costly.
I can imagine.
It can also be quite complex for managers to fully understand and utilize effectively. There isn't a clear, universal set that every organization must use.
So it's bespoke.
Very much so. Each has to select what's most appropriate for their specific business. And because of this, the scope for easy comparison with other organizations is often limited, as few businesses use precisely the same NFPIs.
That makes a lot of sense. So if we step outside the sort of standard corporate world for a moment, how does applying all this change if you're looking at a different kind of organization, say a not-for-profit or maybe even a public service?
That's an excellent question, and it really highlights the adaptability of these concepts. Performance appraisal for not-for-profit organizations differs significantly because, well, they aren't driven by a profit motive.
Right. Different goals.
Different goals. However, they absolutely must still be efficient and deliver value. Their assessment has to be made in light of their stated objectives.
Okay.
For example, a public health service wouldn't measure profit. They'd look at things like treatment waiting times, or maybe a more profound goal like increasing life expectancy within a community.
Impact measures.
Exactly. Even though they don't have a profit motive, they are still accountable for the resources they use. Techniques like value for money and the three is economy, efficiency, and effectiveness become particularly relevant here.
The 3 E's.
Yeah. Economy is about doing things cheaply. Efficiency is about doing things right, using resources well, and effectiveness is ensuring you're doing the right things to achieve your mission.
Doing things cheap, doing things right, doing the right things.
You got it. It's about getting the most impact for every dollar or every hour of effort.
Okay, that's a brilliant way to frame it. But if an organization isn't just looking at its own numbers, or even its own non-financial indicators, how do they figure out what good actually looks like? How do they set truly ambitious goals?
That's where benchmarking comes in, and it's a really powerful tool when used correctly.
Benchmarking, okay.
It's basically the systematic comparison of a service, practice, or process to provide a target for action and ultimately improve your competitive position.
Finding best practices.
Finding best practices, exactly. Benchmarking plays a strategic role by linking directly to those critical success factors and key performance indicators we talked about. It helps organizations decide what areas to measure and helps in setting those ambitious targets. Take Xerox in the early 1980s. They were facing a serious cost gap, particularly against Japanese manufacturers.
Right, I've heard about this.
Yeah, it's a classic. They didn't just look at other copier companies. They used process benchmarking, looking outside their industry for organizations known for excellence in functional areas similar to their own.
Like what?
For instance, LL Bean, the sportswear retailer.
LL Bean. Really?
Yeah. They became a model for Xerox's warehouse operations because they also dealt with diverse products and high-volume logistics. Sounds odd, but it worked.
So it's about the process, not the product.
Exactly. This helps Xerox achieve significant annual productivity gains in logistics and distribution, and crucially, overcome that major cost gap. It's about finding the best practices wherever they might be hiding.
That's a truly inspiring example.
Yep.
It makes you wonder, if Xerox could learn from a sportswear company, what are the different ways companies can benchmark themselves? Beyond just, looking inward.
There are several types, yeah, each with its own focus. First, there's internal benchmarking.
Looking at yourself.
Right. Examining your own past performance for trends or assessing your internal best practices. Maybe one department is great at something to use as a benchmark for other parts of the organization. The danger here, of course, is you might just be perpetuating poor habits and ignoring what competitors are doing.
Sure.
But it has advantages. Easier access to sensitive data, standardized data is readily available, it takes less time and resources, and there are fewer barriers to actually implementing changes found.
Okay. What else?
Then there's competitive benchmarking. This is probably what most people think of first.
Comparing against rivals.
Yeah, comparing your performance directly against other firms in the same industry. Think automakers maybe reverse engineering competitors' cars to understand their engineering or assembly processes. The risk here is that focusing only on your local comparisons might not be sufficient if your real challenge comes from wider, say, international rivals who are doing things differently.
Good point. Need a global view sometimes.
Definitely. Next up is activity benchmarking. This involves looking at other organizations, not necessarily direct competitors, who are known to be excellent at performing similar activities.
Like the Xerox example.
Sort of, yeah. Or if your firm wants to improve its delivery times, it might benchmark against a specialist delivery company like DHL or FedEx, even if you're in a completely different industry. This helps identify commercial best practice for a specific function.
Finding the best in class for that task.
Precisely. Finally, there's generic benchmarking. This is for truly unique processes where maybe no direct competitive or activity benchmarks exist.
What do you do then?
You seek a conceptually similar process. A famous, maybe slightly extreme example is the construction of the Japanese undersea rail tunnel. With no similar projects to benchmark against, they apparently used explorations into volcanic crusts as their conceptual benchmark for dealing with extreme pressure and hostile environments.
Wow. That's thinking outside the box.
Very much so. It's about abstracting the core problem and finding parallels elsewhere. So the main benefits of benchmarking, when done well, are pretty clear. It improves performance and adds value. It deepens your understanding of environmental pressures.
What competitors are up to?
Yeah, and improves your competitive position. It fosters a creative process of change, gives you a clear target to motivate and improve operations, and significantly increases the rate of organizational learning by bringing new ideas into the company.
Sounds almost like a silver bullet. Any downside?
Oh, definitely dangers. There's the classic risk of you get what you measure.
Leading.
Managers might focus excessively on the benchmarked areas simply because they're being measured, rather than focusing on what's strategically most important for the business overall.
Metric fixation.
Exactly. Also, benchmarking shows you what others achieve, but it doesn't always reveal why or how. It doesn't always uncover the reasons for good or poor performance.
You see the gap, but not the solution.
Right. And it can also appear threatening to staff if they perceive it as identifying individual weaknesses rather than being about process improvement. So reassurance and involvement are absolutely crucial. And sometimes really innovative companies focus more on optimizing their own unique processes, trusting the numbers will follow rather than just chasing benchmark metrics set by others.
Okay, that makes sense. So here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The part where all these threads start to weave together. We talked about numbers, non-financial insights, learning from others through benchmarking. How do organizations bring all of that together for a truly comprehensive, sort of panoramic view of their performance?
Precisely, and that's critical. Organizations absolutely need to combine the financial and the non-financial measures to provide that broader, more complete picture of their performance and their strategic position. One of the most powerful and widely used tools for this is the Balanced Scorecard, developed by Kaplan and Norton.
Ah, yes, the Balanced Scorecard. Heard a lot about that.
It suggests that managers should appraise performance from 4 key perspectives, ensuring a holistic view. First, the financial perspective.
The traditional view.
Right, achieving financial targets, meeting shareholder needs, that's still crucial. Second, the customer perspective, focusing on meeting customer needs from their point of view. How are we serving those who keep us in business?
Makes sense.
Third, the innovation perspective, which considers whether the organization is continuously improving and developing, looking to the future. Are we staying relevant?
Learning and growing.
Yeah. And fourth, the internal business process perspective. This looks at the efficiency of internal processes and, critically, employee satisfaction and motivation. How smoothly are things running inside? The model's core aim, really, is that managers are only considered truly successful if they succeed from all 4 perspectives.
Not just 1 or 2.
Exactly. For example, financial success isn't really rewarded, or shouldn't be, if it's achieved by, say, cutting staff training or slashing R&D budgets, because that would hurt future innovation and internal processes.
Right. Short-term gain, long-term pain.
Precisely. Critical success factors and key performance indicators are attributed to each perspective, and benchmarking is often used to set the targets for those KPIs. True success requires a good balanced score across all 4 areas. Scoring well in only 1 or 2 inevitably leads to longer-term problems.
It's like a car's dashboard, right? You need to monitor speed, fuel, oil pressure, engine temperature.
Yeah.
Not just how fast you're going.
That's a perfect analogy, yes. Now, an alternative and arguably equally comprehensive approach is the Baldrige Performance Excellence Model.
Baldrige?
Yes, developed by Malcolm Baldrige, initially in the U.S., to measure and reward high-performing organizations. The underlying belief is that organizations incorporating its criteria will naturally achieve superior holistic performance.
That sounds incredibly thorough. What are the key categories an organization is assessed on in the Baldrige model? It sounds like a lot.
It is comprehensive. The Baldrige model assesses an organization across 7 integrated categories, forming a pretty complete framework. First, leadership.
How the top guides things.
Exactly. How leaders guide, govern, and sustain performance. It covers aspects like setting clear goals, corporate governance, demonstrating social responsibility.
Right.
Second, strategy. The ability to plan, develop, and implement strategies effectively. Are objectives clear? Are plans created? Are resources allocated? How is success measured?
The planning part.
Third, customers. How successful is the organization in building and sustaining strong relationships? This covers customer support, complaint management, interaction, even how you segment your customer base.
Yep.
Fourth, workforce. How the organization enables and empowers its people. Recruitment, retention, career progression, training, reward schemes, appraisals, overall engagement.
The people side.
Very important. Fifth, operations. The design and effectiveness of processes and, crucially, their continuous improvement. Reviewing processes, improving them, ensuring they deliver customer and strategic value.
How things get done.
Right. Sixth, results. This category looks at the actual performance and improvement relative to competitors across all key areas: product, process, customer, workforce, leadership, financial, and market results.
The outcomes.
The proof is in the pudding, yeah. And finally, seventh, measurement, analysis, and knowledge management. How is data stored, managed, analyzed, and actually used to drive decisions? This includes managing organizational knowledge, use of benchmarking, performance measures, and taking action based on those measurements.
Wow, that covers pretty much everything.
It's designed to. And underpinning these categories are inherent Baldrige values that are quite profound. Things like visionary leadership, customer-driven excellence, organizational and personal learning. valuing employees and partners. Agility, focus on the future, managing for innovation, management by fact, social responsibility, focus on results and creating value, and a systems perspective.
Those sound like more than just buzzwords.
They're intended as guiding principles for true excellence, yeah.
Let's maybe hone in on two of those Baldrige values that feel particularly relevant in today's world: valuing people and agility. How do these specifically contribute to an organization's strategic success? Why are they so critical now?
Great ones to pick. Valuing people is absolutely fundamental because an organization's sustained success really depends on an engaged and empowered workforce.
Happy employees, better results.
In a nutshell, yes, but it's deeper. It means employees feel they contribute meaningfully, understand the organizational direction, have opportunities to learn and grow, and are accountable for their performance. It requires fostering a safe, trusting, cooperative environment, especially in service industries where often the people are the product or the main interface.
Right.
The workforce becomes a key differentiator and a direct source of competitive advantage. And this value extends beyond just employees. It includes customers, community members, shareholders, anyone affected by the organization's actions. It's about respect and mutual benefit across the whole ecosystem.
Okay, that makes total sense. What about agility?
Agility, well, it's the capacity for rapid change and flexibility in operations. In today's incredibly disruptive and fast-paced world, the ability to make transformational changes quickly, manage risk effectively, and pivot your strategy when needed is just critical for success.
You have to adapt or die, basically.
Pretty much. Organizations need to evolve rapidly and adapt as their environments change, whether that's new technologies popping up, shifting market demands, or unexpected crises. And this agility is very closely connected to organizational learning. It means continuous improvement and innovation aren't just, one-off projects. They are embedded in the very way the organization operates day in and day out. It's part of the culture.
Yeah.
Ultimately, organizations that score well in the Baldrige Model or adopt its principles should generally be far better at achieving their strategic goals, competing effectively in their markets, consistently improving their results, fostering that culture of continuous improvement and learning, and maybe most importantly, meeting customer needs and retaining those customers long term.
Which is why those awards are so prestigious.
Exactly. It's why awards based on these criteria are highly coveted in some countries, recognizing companies like Motorola and Honeywell in the past for their systemic excellence.
So what does this all mean? We've covered a lot of ground. It feels like truly understanding an organization's performance goes far, far beyond just the numbers on a spreadsheet. We've journeyed from that foundational quantitative analysis and financial ratios through the crucial insights from non-financial measures that tell a deeper story.
Yeah.
Explored how organizations learn from the best through benchmarking, and finally looked at these holistic models like the Balanced Scorecard and the Baldrige framework. It's a really rich tapestry, isn't it?
It really is. And this deep dive, I think, truly emphasizes the importance of taking a balanced and multidimensional view for long-term strategic health. Integrating these various performance dimensions, financial, customer, internal processes, innovation, and even how you value your people and adapt to change, that's what builds truly resilient, successful organizations. The ones that can navigate constant change and hopefully thrive for the long haul.
So, considering our deep dive today, here's a final thought for you listening. How might you begin to look at the performance of an organization differently tomorrow? Perhaps focusing not just on the profits reported, but on its people, its processes, its culture, and its capacity to adapt and learn. Think about the companies you interact with daily, your favorite coffee shop, maybe your internet provider, even your employer, and how these frameworks might apply to them. What might they reveal about what truly makes them successful? Or perhaps where their hidden challenges lie?